Good morning, everyone. Welcome into the SEC Morning Report here on Friday, November 10th. We are one sleep away now, guys, from some SEC Week 11 football action. We've had all kinds of coverage come your way. We started off the week with our previews and predictions. We've carried on through the morning report each morning. We had Jake's Takes last night live. We had a live show with Tavares King and Noshawn Marino on Wednesday night. And now we're going to be talking about the groups that need to step up and show a little something this week in Week 11 of SEC football action. But before we do that, guys, if you want to try to step up and show a little something in the wagering world, you need to hit up BetOnline, betonline.ag, guys. They're a partner here with us on the show, on the SEC Morning Report. And the NBA, the last of the major pro sports leagues, is off and rolling, guys. College basketball has also gotten going. And whether it's one of those that you want to put a little extra on, BetOnline remains your top spot for all your live betting content, contests, action, everything you want. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL, they're all in full swing right now. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, predictions, everything that you want. All the hoops betting action you can get, along with every sport available right at your fingertips via desktop or mobile access, guys, at any time. Head on over to BetOnline today and remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. And as we've done all week, we are going to start our show here with the game of the week. What I consider is Ole Miss and Georgia in Athens. It is going to be a rocking atmosphere there on Saturday night in between the hedges. Georgia, a 10.5-point favorite, according to the people out in the desert, over under at 58. So who needs to step up and show a little something extra in this game? I think it, as good as they've played overall, I think you need to see Javon Bullard, Tyke Smith, Michael Williams, and Chaz Chambliss step up in this game. That quartet of guys, and here's why. They have the responsibility in Georgia's defense of how they're playing things a lot of time. They almost want to, by alignment, bait people into thinking, okay, the perimeter is there for you to be able to take advantage of, whether it's a quick screen, a throw out at the line of scrimmage, or it is a stretch run, a speed sweep type play, something along that line, whether it's the quarterback or the running back being able to get out on the edge. And what they're going to do is Kirby Smart says, hey, at Georgia, he said it in press conferences multiple times, Georgia's always going to prevent you from running straight ahead first. He said people can hurt you the most quickly getting north and south on you in between the tackles first and foremost. So they're going to stop that, and they're going to spill everything to the outside and then use their speed on defense to stretch it out. I don't think that this defense is quite as fast sideline to sideline as maybe they have been in the years past with some of the elite speed Georgia has had. I'm not saying these guys aren't fast. I'm saying comparatively. So that strategy, and Kirby said this, he said, maybe we need to help out our players a little bit more. He said that after the Auburn game when they struggled on the perimeter. So whether that's changing alignment just a tad bit, instead of lining up in a head up 4, maybe you line up in a 5 on that defensive end. Just give them a little bit extra leverage, or maybe it's walking that safety out a couple of yards in that leverage. But even if they don't change, it's on those guys to be able to get to the spot that Kirby and Glenn Schumann want them to get to in order to contain the outside run and set an edge. Sometimes that's Tyke Smith having to come down as the star and come down there and be able to fill that alley and still get to the spot and turn a guy in. Sometimes it's incumbent upon Michael Williams or Chaz Chambliss to fight against a reach block and really turn a guy in, turn a tackle in, or a tight end, or an H-back, or whatever is out there trying to block them. So it's incumbent upon those guys, those four guys, Chaz Chambliss, Michael Williams, Javon Bullard, Tyke Smith, the way that they fit runs, even sometimes Malachi Stark, the way that they fit outside runs, to be able to set an edge, to be able to turn things in over there on contain in the run game. And I think that's something that Lane Kiffin and company will try to test early. So we'll see if those guys, as great as they've been, and like I said, there've been great performances. Georgia has played really, really well on the back end. They're getting a lot of picks and stuff like that. But that one issue there of being able to find a way to prevent it almost being, people kind of death by 1,000 cuts at times going down the field with that perimeter run or with perimeter screen game type there. But hey, it is defense, and there's going to be always something that you have to kind of give up a little bit, either by alignment or by assignment, to take care of other things as well. So that is understandable. But can Georgia improve just a little bit at setting the edge, whether maybe Marvin Jones Jr. comes in and does that a little bit more, or maybe it's Damon Wilson, the young outside linebacker that has come in and been effective on pass rush. But I think it's going to be key on the early rundowns, the first and second down, that Michael Williams, Chaz Chambliss, Tyke Smith, and the other safeties are able to come down and fill and also get that edge for Georgia. For Ole Miss, my step up and show me something person in this game is Lane Kiffin himself. Lane Kiffin has tended to nut up a little bit in big games. He's tended to coach a little bit differently, not be as loose as he's been in the past. He's posted all this stuff on Twitter this week, like, Ole Miss has nothing to lose and stuff like that. If you really had nothing to lose, you wouldn't be talking about it that way. Okay, there's plenty to lose for Ole Miss. There's losing a college football playoff opportunity. There's losing an opportunity to play in the SEC championship game. Now, Lane Kiffin, a couple of days before, what is viewed by many as the biggest game in Ole Miss history in a long time because of what is at stake for them. Now he has to deal with this leaked audio from DeSanto Rollins, a former defensive lineman who they asked to be offensive lineman, and all that distraction that comes on with it in a $40 million lawsuit that's been going on. So there's all kinds of stuff that Lane Kiffin's having to deal with now, and I just want to see if he can step up and call a game in which he's aggressive, but he's not so aggressive that he's detrimental to his team like we've seen in the past. And also, can he stay patient? Because Georgia is going to, by alignment and assignment, give Ole Miss certain things that they could have success with, kind of being methodical down the field. Now, don't get me wrong. There's going to be opportunities for Ole Miss to try to hit explosives. Every team in every game has some opportunities to try to hit explosives in college football. But can Lane stay patient enough to say, okay, this is getting me 4, 5, 6 yards here? Can he stay patient enough and not? And sometimes these guys get in a little bit of a rhythm against a good team like a Georgia, like an Alabama defensively, or even in the NFL, you'll see teams getting a good rhythm against somebody like the Kansas City Chiefs or the Philadelphia Eagles, and then guess what happens? Then they get a little bit greedy and they try to run some kind of trick play or some kind of shot play, and then it throws the whole rhythm of something off, a la Billy Napier against Georgia on the 4th and dumb there in his own territory with the trick play from Etienne trying to throw it on 4th down, and then the momentum captures just like that for the favorite, and especially with a home environment there in Georgia. All it's going to take is one big miscue, and that night crowd there in Athens is going to be able to make a big difference. So if they garner any kind of momentum, they yield any momentum to Georgia with some kind of misstep from a coaching standpoint, then it could be huge. So Lane Kiffin is who I need to see step up and show a little something, showing a little maturity, show a little growth as a head coach in this game and how he goes about it. For Tennessee and Missouri, these are two teams that I think are very similar in terms of how they're built. I think they're teams that are have multiple weapons, maybe not the absolute elite weapons on the outside, except for Luther Burden. Okay, and Luther Burden could be banged up in this game, but they have very solid weapons across the board on the outside. They like to run the football. They want to establish a run on the get the game going on the ground, and they're very, very physical up front on the defensive sides of the ball. So what I want to see out of this game for Missouri, especially if Luther Burden is limited, I want to see that offensive line for Missouri play with the same level of physicality and consistency that it brought against Georgia. Those tackles were really, really, really good at being able to reach block, being able to get out and kind of, kind of stretch the defense laterally a little bit and allow Cody Schrader to fit up on that outside zone. Can they do that against a Tennessee team that is going to it prides itself on being more of a penetrating type defense? They get more tackles for a loss, more sacks, things like that. Than does a Georgia defense. They just play in a different style. So can they be able to run the football early? And that can be with Cody Schrader or Brady Cook, maybe some design run type stuff, things like that, especially if Luther Burden is limited. So I want to see this Missouri run game establish itself early, especially 3:30 kick at home. Just if you just get that physicality going early and then you limit Tennessee's possessions, even though Tennessee, it doesn't seem to matter about them with time of possession and stuff like that because we know they go fast and things like that. But that was more so with Hendon Hooker and company last year. They've not been as efficient. So if you can be a pound it down their throat offense type deal, take the shots when they're there for Brady Cook and just limit the number of possessions Joe Milton has, and that pressure comes into play against not only the Missouri defense when you turn things around and Tennessee has to be on offense, but also they're facing that Mizzou crowd as well. So that is who I want to see step up is the run game for Missouri here in Como. Tennessee, I think who you need to step up and show a little something here for Tennessee would be the wide receiving core. I know people are going to talk about Joe Milton, and we know that Tennessee's going to be able to run the football a good bit with Jalen Wright, with Dylan Sampson, with Jabari Small. But, hey, here's what we need to see. Tennessee at times Joe Milton has put the ball in places where Tennessee receivers can make plays down the field, and they failed to make them. Also, too, sometimes Joe is not going to throw the most accurate ball in the world. But, hey, you've been brought to Tennessee to catch the football if it's in your catch radius. If you have the ability to get a hand on it, or you have the ability to maybe stop and break off a route and make a play, especially on the road, that's what it takes to be able to win these type of football games. So whether it's Squirrel White or Ramel Keaton or Dante Thornton, any of those guys over there, maybe even the tight ends getting involved, I think that it's not just on Joe Milton. We know Tennessee's going to protect him well. They do a good job protecting on the offensive line. We know he's going to run with his legs. We saw him do that on the road a little bit earlier this year against Alabama, and we know that they're going to be able to run the football with those backs. But like I said, at sometimes receivers have to step up and make the extraordinary play, make that big play to convert on a third down and keep a drive going, and not allow Mizzou to kind of limit your possessions, like I said, by not only what they're doing offensively, but getting off the field on third down. And then in the red zone, listen, it becomes harder and harder to run the football. And there's going to be one-on-one matchups there. Tennessee has been the worst in the SEC and one of the worst in college football in red zone touchdown production. And sometimes that means it's because you're not able to win one-on-one matchups in tight spaces. Can Tennessee's receivers get better at that in this game? So that's who I need to step up and show me something here in this matchup. Alabama and Kentucky. Well, for the Kentucky Wildcats, you have Alabama coming to Kroger Field, an early kick. For Alabama's internal clock as a Central Time team, this will be a 11 o'clock kickoff for them. You can get things started early. earlier this year, Mark Stoops said about his fan base that he had no doubt with an early kick against Florida that his fan base had the ability to get up early and pound some beers. So that's who I'm telling to step up and show a little something. Kentucky, they're going to play how they're going to play. It's going to be out there. They need, everybody knows. I could easily go with saying, hey, they're going to need Devin Leary and that wide receiving core to step up and be, efficient in the pass game to help out Ray Davis. They're going to have to be, sound on the back end of defense, not allow shot plays, and they're going to have to find ways to contain Jalen Milroe. All those things are true, but can that Kroger Field crowd now, hey, it's in November. We know Kentucky basketball has started, but can that Kroger Field crowd step up and be a little crazy up there with Alabama coming in? The season hasn't gone exactly the way that Kentucky would have wanted it to. They probably thought they might have one or two less losses at this point in the year coming into this game. But Alabama has to turn right around and face a Kentucky team that is physical, that is well coached, and they're coming off an emotional high type deal against LSU in a big rivalry game there. So can that Kroger Field crowd make a difference early on in the day here? Maybe Alabama comes out a little bit sleepy-eyed, and that crowd is not. Can they do it there in Kroger Field and provide a solid home field advantage for Kentucky in that front? That is who I need to step up and show me something on the Kentucky side, is the people wearing blue up in the Bluegrass State up there. For Alabama, who I want to see step up and show me something is I want to see this offensive line continue to show growth, okay? They only gave up 2 sacks against LSU this past week. Jalen Milroe had more design runs, was out of the pocket more, using his legs, things like that. So, we're going to see, I think you're going to see a Brad White, Mark Stoops coach team have a much better plan to contain Jalen Milroe's legs than did LSU. I'm not blaming everything on Matt House, but, by design, sometimes they just played man coverage and everybody ran off and there was nobody there to spy Jalen Milroe. They didn't even use Harold Perkins in that way at sometimes when they have the capability of being able to do so. Listen, Trevin Wallace, J.J. Weaver, all these guys up front for Kentucky have been there forever. How can they mix up their looks to be able to try to contain Jalen Milroe? They're going to do that. So the group I need to step up is this Alabama offensive line, whether it's Caden Proctor, whether it's Elijah Pritchett, whoever's at left tackle. I know they'll rotate them and do different things like that. Even in the middle of that offensive line, at times, 37 times this year, guys, they have allowed pressure to turn into sacks on Jalen Milroe. Sometimes that's him holding the ball, but also a lot of times, guys, they just straight up get whipped in pass protection. Can they prevent some of those breakdowns early when Kentucky has its most juice, when Kentucky's probably gonna bring a little pressure early and try to test and see what's happening there with different stunts? Sometimes Alabama has struggled to pick up some twists, some games up front, especially on that left side of the offensive line. So I expect Kentucky to do some of that early. Can they be consistent? And also running backs are included in that too, guys. Jam Miller has been in there pass protecting some. Of course, you've got Roydell Williams and you have Jace McClellan. So all these people are involved in the pass protection for Alabama. And then also Tommy Rees just continued to call a game in a similar fashion that you did against LSU by playing to Jalen Milroe's strengths. Now, I know it's easy to do against an LSU defense that is really quite awful. Okay, LSU's defense is atrocious in its discipline, in its gap responsibility, in its ability to disguise things and on the back end of its coverage and then not get lost in said coverage, whether it's man coverage just getting beat or getting out of position in zone coverage. So Alabama was able to feast upon that. Can Kentucky be more sound than that? I think they will be. I think Alabama is obviously more talented in this game, and there's a reason they're an 11-point favorite. But those are just small things I want to see Alabama improve going forward, because it is a road game. It is an environment where you're facing a well-coached defense in Mark Stoops and Brad White's crew over there at Kentucky. So how does the offensive line play in this game in terms of protecting Jalen Milroe? Auburn at Arkansas, two teams that are very happy with their result from the previous week and are looking to make it 2 weeks in a row of playing solid football for each of them, something that hasn't been, when you look at the record, something that hasn't been the easiest for these two teams. Now, what I want to see from Arkansas on the defensive side of the football, and yes, I'm going to say the defensive side, is continue to be aggressive. I mean, just be aggressive in this game, because I think that this is the type of game for Arkansas at home. Auburn has not, proven they can play extremely well on the road. Vanderbilt was Vanderbilt last week. That is what it is. But we know that Arkansas, I think that the 39 points last week with Kenny Guyton, listen, I wouldn't be counting on it again against a Auburn defense that I think is much more sound, much more athletic than Florida's defense. What I'm telling you is defensively for Arkansas, I want to see Travis Williams' defense be aggressive, like almost ultra aggressive against this Auburn team, and say, you are not going to run the football on us, and you're going to have to win one-on-one, man-to-man, single high matchups with your receivers, because we don't believe you can do it with Peyton Thorne and company. I think Peyton Thorne, yes, he's played a little bit better. There's been a little bit of development there in the passing game for Auburn. Javarius Johnson has kind of emerged as that target that, people thought he would be earlier in the year in the last couple of games. Rivaldo Fairweather has made some nice catches. They're trying to spread the ball around to some of those other receivers as well. However, it's still a little bit of a struggle in that RPO style system that Hugh Freeze is trying to employ, and that passing game is still a very much a work in progress, so to speak. So, you got guys like Dwight McGlothern over there that can just, cover people like a glove. So why don't you be as aggressive as you possibly can? I mean, put always, bring pressure with 5-6 guys, make it look like there's bunch of different simulated pressures. Also make it look like, hey, safeties are going to be coming down, rolling down, all this different type of stuff, and make it hard on Jarquez Hunter and that Auburn running game to beat you, and say, hey, we're going to take that part away. You're not going to run the football, and then you're going to have to beat us throwing it down the field. So I want to see whether it's, Landon Jackson and that crew up front getting after on obvious passing downs, or Dwight McGlothern and then playing tight man coverage on the back end. I want to see this Travis Williams coach defense step up and play uber aggressive against an Auburn team and really dictate to them how they're going to play offensively on the road. And I think that will in turn help this Arkansas offense, who, yes, they look better under Kenny Guyton last week, but I'm telling you, there are still warts there, and there could be struggles at times. So you can't expect, hey, now all of a sudden we've turned into an offense that's going to hang, 30-something points every week. Need to see that defense step up and play in such a way that it complements the offense for Arkansas. For Auburn, I think it's obvious where I need to go, because I just, challenged the Arkansas defense to step up and make them one-dimensional and have to throw the football. And that is, Peyton Thorne and those receivers need to step up and continue to find ways to make plays. I don't care if it's short passes early in the flat to get some confidence in taking what they give you. Sometimes that's the key. But hey, there's going to be times where they are going to play press man. They're going to get up in your face a little bit, and at those times, somebody has to win a one-on-one, get some separation, and Peyton Thorne has to trust it enough to be able to put the ball in a place where his receiver can have a chance to make a 50-50 play, whether it's throwing it up to Rivaldo Fairweather, in the seam or in the red zone, a flag route, a corner route, something like that, using his height, whether it's some of the mesh and shallow concepts that Auburn likes to run, and being able to run those routes with such precision that it crosses up the defenders there or whether it's Peyton Thorne just being willing to let it loose sometimes and take a chance. And sometimes, hey, when that happens, you throw it down the field, even if a guy is open and he's missed or something like that. It lets those defensive backs know, okay, we gotta keep that in mind. We lost one there. And they back up a little bit, or they're just not as ultra aggressive on the next couple of plays because they know they tighten up just a little bit because they know they could have gave up a big play there. So Auburn's passing game, find ways to take advantage of what is being given to you and just fundamentally play better football. See the ball in as receivers all the way to the tuck. Don't take your eyes off of it. There's been too many drops at times this year in key situations that Peyton Thorne has delivered the ball well, and then at other times he's been off, especially on the road. So I want to see this Auburn passing game just do the little things right to try and set themselves up for success. That's how I think needs to step up and show me a little something in that matchup. Guys, those are the SEC games that we're going to cover here today. Listen, Florida and LSU, guys, I just don't see how Florida can go on the road at night to Death Valley there as a 14.5-point underdog now with Jaden Daniels trending toward playing. I just don't think there's anybody on that team that can step up and show something to make a difference there against an LSU team unless they just go crazy being able to run the football, and it really, makes things easy for Billy Napier calling the game wise, and Graham Mertz is able to have a little bit more success. But the LUCs, the liquored up Cajuns down there at LSU, are going to make all the difference there. I think that atmosphere is going to be rocking, especially Jaden Daniels comes back and plays after that hit from Dallas Turner against Alabama. I think that'll give the team a lot of energy if he's out there doing his thing for the Fighting Tigers. So, like I said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Those are the people that we need to step up and show a little something here this week in week 11. And we hope that we've shown you a little something with the content that we provide all throughout the week, each and every day here on Southeastern 14, and that you'll like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and just, stay tuned, guys. We're going to have a lot of stuff coming your way as basketball season gets rolling out. We carry on through baseball season, and football will be all year long right here on the channel. So don't go anywhere. Like I said, I'm Blayne Gilmer. You can follow me at bgilmer18 on X, and also hit us up on X for the channel using at 14 Southeastern. Like I said, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time to talk more SEC sports daily right here on Southeastern 14.